On today's episode, Boeing wins with Starliner. So when do we all get to fly? Today's episode is brought to you by engineering.com, a globally trusted source for engineering content. Check out this and many other exclusive videos for the engineering professional found only on engineering.com TV today. The successful launch of Boeing's CST-100 Starliner is a much-needed win for the company. Of course, space vehicle operations and the commercial aircraft division are completely different, but that's not how the public perceives it. And after embarrassing gaffes like the door plug blowout and tragedies like the MCAS software disaster, well, the company needs something to pull attention away from the 737 program. Now, I watched that launch with considerable interest and was impressed by the trouble-free nature of the countdown. I was also impressed by the similarity between the process by which we launch crewed spacecraft now compared to how it was done in the 1960s. From launch pad operations, launch and mission control rooms, to the procedures used to launch the vehicles, it doesn't seem to have changed a great deal, despite a drastically increased amount of available automation and software control. Even aboard this spacecraft, I was surprised to see steel-ringed binders and paper checklists. Now, the dream of every space enthusiast everywhere has been that spaceships would be, well, Starliners. Craft that you could climb into, buckle up, and fly into orbit, a little like the way we use jets and airports. Fuel the vehicle, light the engines, and just go. Now, this may happen someday, and this was the original concept of the space shuttle, but the one thing that all modern systems like Boeing's Starliner, the SpaceX Dragon, and NASA's own Orion spacecraft have in common is that they operate in a manner that will be very familiar to men like Gene Kranz in the 60s. Now, it took weeks to launch John Glenn in 1962 because of the need to hold the countdown repeatedly to correct technical flaws or to wait for better weather. Now, the systems are much more reliable today, but frequent holds and launch cancellations for technical reasons are still common. The big difference today is that NASA contracts with aerospace companies for launch services rather than simply buys hardware, meaning that cost control is now a major factor in a competitive market. It is keeping costs down, but if you asked me as a kid in the 1970s what spaceflight would look like in the 2020s, I would have told you that it would be like stepping onto an airliner. Well, it isn't, and there doesn't appear to be any serious aerospace project on the horizon that will make it that way. Why? Well, mainly because of propulsion and the inevitable forces of markets. Concorde brought us Mach 2 plus air travel, but high seat mile costs and ticket prices made it unaffordable for all but the wealthy. Only now are vestigial supersonic transport programs restarting with better technology. But daily flights into suborbital or orbital space? Unlikely in my lifetime, and that's surprising. Well, that's it for today's episode of End of the Line, brought to you by engineering.com. For our deeper engineering series, visit engineering.com TV for exclusive shows like Manufacturing the Future, Designing the Future, and the Engineering Roundtable, not found on our YouTube channel. The links are in the description below. Thanks for watching.